Hello, my name is Alexander Moss, the absolute truth, Alexander Moss, and I'm glad to say that today we are drinking at Moe's. Glad to be here.
Yeah. This is Drinkin at Moe's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's also mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, oh it's a scream. Fucking run. All right, everybody, welcome. Drinking Mo's, Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the you-know-what. But yeah, we're on most audio platforms too, the major ones anyways. Today I'm excited to have with me Alexander Moss. How you doing?
I'm doing great, my man. How about yourself?
Oh, I can't complain. I got to go to my first AEW Collision show earlier this month when they were
Okay.
in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I got to sit third row right behind the announce desk, so that was fun.
Heck yeah.
Got some
Heck yeah.
got some cool footage there. I actually trying to see if I was stumbling around because I'm like, I have to get something at the merch table. So I'm like, what am I gonna get? I have to get a shirt. So I actually got the Will Ospreay shirt, but then
Okay.
I was gonna get the Prince Nana micro brawler, but then I saw this.
Okay. Yeah. 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 That's
The
dope.
1 in 3,000 Eddie Kingston. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting,
Sounds like
as
you
you
made a
can
good choice.
see,
Looks like you made a good choice. Oh yeah, it's beautiful back there. I was taking a look.
see
I was taking a
some
look.
of
I said,
my hobby behind
yeah.
me. And I'm actually the other thing that I'll talk before we get into why we have you here today.
All right.
I'm actually going to be actually this Saturday, now that I think about it, at a show for Sammy Callahan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver.
Oh, that's dope. That's
So
dope.
those are always a fun time. I've made some good friends there, and
Okay.
I'm particularly excited. And I actually bought this guy's ringside exclusive figure right as soon as I heard he was going to be there.
Who's this fella?
Very nice, very evil
Ah,
Danhausen.
Mr. Danhausen. You
So
know,
when
I
I
didn't.
heard he was going to be there, I'm like, okay, I was already sold on going, but now, though, there ain't no way I'm missing that.
I hear it. I hear it. I didn't know a lot about him until he showed up on AEW, if I'm being honest. But yeah,
I knew,
that's gonna be a dope experience.
oh yeah, I knew a little bit about him from Ring of Honor before Tony Khan bought it, but I actually, conveniently enough, got curious and bought some of those AEW trading card blaster boxes, and I actually got Danhausen one that I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go take both.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's awesome,
So,
man. I hope you have a blast. They always
oh
put
yeah,
on good stuff there.
oh god, the main event of that particular show. This is gonna come out after it, but it's a Cage of Horrors match with all three of the members of the former Second Gear crew going up against each other.
Oh wow. Oof.
So their matches when they're teaming up together, I always joke they might as well be sponsored by Home Depot.
Right, right.
But I can only imagine going up against each other. It's just going to be that times like a billion.
Dude, dude, dude. Yeah, you're gonna get to see some wreckage. That's for sure.
Oh
Good
yeah,
God Almighty.
I am looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
Well, the first thing I'd like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to finally make that leap into the business.
Hey man, as a fan, I've been a fan as long as I can remember. I grew up watching with my pops. We still every time a PLE pay-per-view, whatever it is, when it comes on, we're sitting together, we're watching it, we're eating wings. So
Mm-hmm.
that's deep in the heart right there. It comes from the love that my pops gave me. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's what we do. But as far as me getting into it, man, it's actually a pretty dope story. Back in like 2012, we went to I believe it was either a PWX show or Evo show. It was one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's PWX. And man, just sitting ringside, being at those indie shows like Wrestle
Mm.
Revival, like Wrestle Revolver. There's nothing like it. That intimacy, you feeling like you're part of it.
Oh yeah.
And it was that day I was like, man, I really would love to do this. You
No.
always have that dream,
Oh yeah.
but it became a little more realistic on that day, but not realistic enough for me to say, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Enough
No.
to ask, but then I was like, there's no way it's that easy. They was like, yeah, you pay $300, you start the school at high spots, blah blah blah. I was like, no, no, I watch these guys on the daily, and there's no way that's how they, it's not that easy. So fast forward 5 years. 2017, I had taken a preaching job in Greenville, North Carolina, and so I was doing that, and I was sitting in the office, and I was like, man, I need something physical in my life. So I started looking up wrestling schools, and I ended up at 5 Star Pro Wrestling with LeBron Cozon. Here I am 6 years later, man. So
Nice.
yeah, man.
Nice. I love when I get to hear about my guests and having the family they grew up in, at least some of them also
Yeah,
being into it, because
yeah,
I had a little bit where my little brother would watch with me and we'd get into it, and then as a lot of people do, he fell off,
yeah, yeah.
and I stuck with it, and I didn't end up watching my first independent show until I was stationed in the Navy in San Diego. And
Okay.
then that thing you talked about with, like, the intimacy of the crowds and being so close, when like you'd be paying double that at like a
Yes,
WWE show.
yes.
And then I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse, but it started the thing in me where literally my goal, I'm that goofball in the crowd. Like, I'm trying to get somebody to crack, whether it's a wrestler, referee, ring announcer, somebody.
Heard.
And I've had some success, and
Sure.
some somewhat notable people. Like, the last one I can remember was, well, actually two. One was a match where Mike Bennett was actually on the other side,
Okay.
and it was one of those where, like, the crowd had just stopped cheering. It was quiet for a little bit, and I just yelled out, "Adam!" And then he like looked down, but you could see that he was
Yeah,
busting out
you
laughing.
got him.
And then he told me later after the show that I popped the hell out of him. I'm like,
That's
yes.
true. That's great.
And then the last one, I was a little disappointed because I actually went and tried to watch back the Collision episode,
Okay.
because I'm like, there I knew I got the person, but I'm like, did it come across on TV? And it came across during one of those damn picture-in-picture things, because I could see the reaction I got out of the guy. But it was Tony Storm's match,
Okay.
and I got the idea from it was Dynamite, where she was on commentary and she started talking about Mariah May slapping the tits off of her opponent. And I'm like, oh God, I got to. I found a moment exactly the same. The crowd had just died down from cheering, and I just yelled out, "Slap her tits off!" And Luther, the manager, just looked like, what the? I'm like, yes, got him.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's the beauty of it, man. Being able to be a part of it. That's the
Oh yeah,
beauty of it. It's most awesome.
most definitely. I just love it. And one thing I like with, well, actually, you know what? I realized I was about to skip over something in my notes. We'll go back to the other stuff, but
Okay.
one of the other things I like to talk about with each guest is how they came up with their in-ring personas, because that first little bit can be, the bit of a feeling out process, what's going to work, what's going to catch on, and all that. How did you come up with yours?
Man, it's gonna sound it's gonna be a little ironic, seeing as how I'm the mean guy most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Which I enjoy. Uh, most time it's deserved. But I got it from my faith. It's who I am. That's why I call myself the absolute truth, Alexander Moss. Um, and so it's kind of just the arrogant side of
Mm,
the side that everybody hates. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Nobody wants that arrogant Christian. Let's be honest. Nobody wants that arrogant Christian. And that's kind of that's kind of where it came from. But everything I do, I seek to glorify God. So I'm like, it's just who I am. It's
You
just who
know,
I am. I can so that's the best way that I can explain it.
oh
That's
yeah,
the best way that I can explain it.
I can totally respect that. I know, hell, with some of the stuff that, some of it I kind of mentioned before recording, had my faith a little bit shook up the last couple of years. I grew up in a Catholic family, so like it's always been there.
Sure.
And I have respect for the people that just have that unwavering, just that passion for it. I might not be as, you know, passionate about it, but I always tell people I I'm a believer, but like I consider myself one of those like spiritual Christians where it's like I've had the discussion with people is like I like to think that there has got to be more than just you're here and then you're dead.
Right.
There's got to be some driving force somewhere. Now, what exactly that is for me, I don't know that now.
Okay.
I know it's there.
Sure. Sure. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's too much that goes on for me. There's too much that goes on, good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad. I know we like to focus on the bad a lot, but good and bad stuff that I don't deserve that happens that I'm like, I can't explain it otherwise.
Oh yeah.
I
Hell,
can't explain it otherwise.
that with I can imagine with wrestling career and different opportunities that you get that
Mm-hmm.
you like with me on the podcast. I think back on them after they happen. I'm like, holy crap! If you would have told the me growing up in high school that someday I'd be talking to this person and like some of the big names I've had on, like he's going back by Bronson Reed now.
Right.
If you would have,
Right.
if you would have told me growing up in high school that I'd someday be talking to somebody that not only has done big things in WWE, but then has competed in the Tokyo Dome and
Right.
stuff, I would have thought you were full of shit. But it's one of those things that it's like, man, something has to be driving it. And hell,
Sure.
I
Sure.
I've had times where I mentioned that my wife and I lost our twin daughters,
Yes,
and
sir.
I point, and when you bring that up about something, whether good or bad, there's some driving force there that it just would explain it. I was coming home from work one day early, and I was just like, man, I'm going to a event, a volleyball game in Lincoln later on that night. So I'm like, I'm so tired. I just want to go home, take a little nap. I'm literally coming out of the neighborhood, and all of a sudden, like I see out of the corner of my eye, somebody ran a red light and just plowed into me. It
Wow.
sent me spinning to where the cops thought I was coming from the other direction. And
Goodness.
then I'd actually had in my pocket this little toy stuffed bunny that my parents gave one of my daughters that I'm like, I was feeling for it. And I just looked up and I'm like, dude, you must be watching after me or something.
Yeah. 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 I hear you, man. I hear you. I definitely hear you. It's the only way I can explain it.
Oh,
Nothing
yeah.
else, as much sense as it doesn't make sometimes nothing else makes more sense.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
I
that's just
can
where I am.
definitely,
Yes, sir.
I can go right along with you there because, yeah, whether, the bad times you're like, man, what the hell? And then the
Right.
good times you're like, or if something like, you like with me in the car accident and something like I felt like I was going to tip over, but then something stopped me from doing it. And it's like
Yeah.
something like there's been others that like I could go on and
Yes, sir.
on
Yes, sir.
about, but there's been instances where it would definitely explain a lot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now,
That's
go ahead.
no, that's it. I was gonna say that's where we are for sure. Yes, sir.
Oh, for sure. Now, one thing I like with this podcast is I'm constantly learning about new promotions, new wrestlers that I might not have known about before, looking into them and, asking about them coming on.
Okay.
And there's one that it jumped out to me, the name of the promotion, Apple City Championship Wrestling.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
the reason it jumped out to me was because my hometown, which is about an hour south from where I live right now, one of the big fall festivals is this Applejack, where it's like from my parents' house within like a couple miles either direction, there's like two different orchards. And it's like apple everything all throughout town.
Sure.
And I joked with my wife, it's like, I will go to town there if you want to go, craft show, whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't have to be in town there that day, that weekend, I'm not going because
Right.
I grew up there. And it's like, the week leading up, you're stocking up because you're getting nowhere fast if you try to get out. Now,
I hear that.
Apple City Championship Wrestling, there was an event before we had to, postpone that was May 11th called Fired Up. And I want to know
Mm-hmm.
how that show went down for you, but also what has your experience been like with Apple City Championship Wrestling?
Well, as you know, I'm their 6490 champion, which means I'm the man. It's the main title now. It might not be the heavyweight title, but it's the main title now because I hold it. And so, things have been great there because I've done things my way. Um, and along the way, I've got to wrestle some cool competitors such as Fuego, which was that May 11th show at Fired Up. I wrestled Fuego del Sol, which I said it after I wrestled him. I mean, he gave me a fight, and hopefully he gets back to where he wants to be because he deserves it. Really good, really freaking good, really freaking good. If I'm being honest, I didn't know he was as good as he is.
Because it kind of got hidden a little bit. No disrespect to anybody in AEW. I kind of lean more towards their product anyways. But it did, his time there, yeah, he did get some shine here and there, but the talent that he's been able to show on the independents, it definitely got hidden a little bit.
Yes, yes, yes. So, it's been nothing less than enjoyable. It's been nothing less than enjoyable. And as long as they keep giving me what I want, I'll keep going. So,
hey, yeah. And, it's awesome. Excuse me. Cool. Love my drink I got here, buddy.
Yeah.
It can give me the damn burps. But
good to
anyway, what you brought up about the championship that you hold there, elevating it towards that level where, it can be considered more important than the heavyweight title. That's like one of those tongue twister when I start speaking too fast. But where they're like, it's the man that makes the title, not the title making the man. Like that sort of right when you said it, that's right where my head was going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I got to give. I am the absolute truth. So I got to give Nick Nitro, which is, the promoter, the owner there. I got to give him his credit. What he's done with ACCW is outstanding. And the best thing, of course, the best thing he did was give me the opportunity. because I'm gonna take him where he really wants to go. But no, what Nick Nitro has done with that company has been amazing, and it's on a steady climb, a steady rise.
That is
So
awesome. Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna say
Oh,
keep checking it out. Tell everybody to check it out.
oh, most definitely. And I got a question, for people that, might not be as familiar with their product. They like, I know a lot of independent promotions out there. They'll either be a part of, like a Fight or Triller TV or IWTV.
Hmm.
They got anything where people outside of the general area there where they can, hell, if they watch the podcast and they like, hey, I want to go watch this. They got something there where people can go in and watch the product that might not be able to be there physically.
Sure. Right now, I know that they post all the shows on YouTube. So if
Okay.
you look up ACCW or Apple City Championship Wrestling on YouTube, it'll pop up, and whole shows are on there. So yeah, you could definitely go look on there for anyone
Okay.
to watch.
Most definitely. I'll definitely be getting that along with some other stuff in the description. Now, the other one that was a little before that one on May
Okay.
11th, May 3rd, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because the name of the particular match that I saw on there jumped out at me.
Okay.
It was for the Title Belt Pro, and it was a Mad Dog Mayhem match. Now,
Yes, sir.
me being the type of fan I am, I love the hardcore style. Hell, I developed a little bit of a following in the deathmatch community. I love that
Okay.
stuff. And some
Okay.
of the names that people can come up with for the different variations of matches
Right.
is just something else. And Mad Dog Mayhem is one that I haven't particularly heard of before.
Yeah. So it's that one is person specific. Mad Dog Josh Powers, that's his match. And so they put me in that match. It was honestly my first hardcore match, Mad Dog match, and I went through some stuff that I would rather not have went through. But I put him through some stuff too. Like you go home and tell mama or the wife you see the other guy. So I put him through some stuff I put him through some stuff as well. But it was a heck of a fight, man. Title Belt is another one that's doing really well right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So yeah, it's a person specific match. Anytime you fight Josh Powers, you could probably expect it to be Mad Dog rules because he is a mad dog. But I put him on the leash though. I put him on the leash. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Put the dog on the leash. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now that, like I said, I'm a big fan of that style because hell, I've joked about it that some of my favorites have, I gravitate towards those intense personas now. And hell, I joked about it with Bruiser Brody. That's what I was thinking of. When, growing up, little kid, that dude scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But then going back and watching some of his stuff, I'm like, dude, this guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
just that intensity that it very much sounds like Mad Dog there brings to his matches.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one for sure.
Yeah, man, he's definitely a scary guy. If you allow it to scare you, but he can be a scary fella. He could be a scary fella. So it kind of worked in my favor that we had some weapons. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, those hardcore matches can definitely lean that way. I know. But then you bring up another thing. There's definitely been some personas out there that in the wrestling business that you see them on TV or you're getting ready to meet them in like a meet and greet or whatever before or after a show, and you're in the line and you're looking at them and you're like, oh my god, that's one scary looking dude.
Yeah.
But then you go and you actually get to talking with them, and some of the nicest people. Like two that jump out to me that I've actually met like that was Dan Severn.
Okay.
It was like in the line, I'm looking at him, I'm like, holy crap. But then talking to him, nicest dude.
Yeah.
The other
Yeah.
one who he's a particular favorite of mine right now, and he's not as much this way, but he definitely has that mentality still. Swerve.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
This, when I met him, was right as him and Keith Lee were on the verge of breaking that team apart.
Sure.
And that real sadistic side of him was coming out. And like, he could play one sadistic son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But you get to talking with him, one of the nicest people.
Absolutely. And is as good as advertised. Maybe even better. Maybe even better than advertised. That's one guy I'd like to fight one of these days for sure.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
That. I would love that.
I would love to be there for that one. But I would say, you know what? He has to bring Nana with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has to. Because like literally I got a little disappointed that Swerve wasn't at Collision, because I'm like, oh man, I wanted to be able to.
I was wondering if you was gonna let me see it. Okay.
I'm like, I wanted to do it. Like I had my belt that that friend of mine that I told you about had made for me, and I'm like, I was gonna have that. And I'm like, just me. I'm like, I'm the typical white guy. I ain't got no damn rhythm. But I'm like, if you tell me I got to do that with Nana, oh boy, just start up the damn camera, press play, let's go.
Yeah. I'm about to say, if you watch television, there's a lot of people that do it with no shame. So just join right on in.
Oh yeah, I'd be right there. Hell, they have that one granny doing it that, like, good Lord, I saw the video of her getting some of his coffee, and
oh my goodness, that's so funny.
That was something else. But oh God, him and Daniel Garcia with that little dance off. They had that one. Yeah,
another incredible one. Guys, that's another guy that when you look at him, he just looks downright intimidating. But you get to see different sides of him, and it's like, okay, all right, yeah, definitely.
Most definitely. Now, you've also had some venturing into the Midwest for Windy City Championship Wrestling. Now,
yes, sir.
I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago, just north of Chicago, is where the Navy boot camp is. So it's like, oh, I have that memory of having to go there. Right. But then any of the bad memories I have of Chicago never seem to be in the city itself. It's all with Chicago O'Hare. And like, I'm telling you right now, man, good Lord, I was flying to Nashville. The gate switched 2 times before I even left Omaha. It switched again on my way to Chicago. I get to the gate. Oh, it switches again.
That's wild.
Like somewhere across the airport. And then we had to wait like 30, 40 minutes for the crew to get there because they were on the other side of the airport.
Sure. Yeah. Flying can be annoying.
Yeah.
It can be annoying.
Most definitely. But what has your experience been like there for Windy City Championship Wrestling?
It's been awesome. Another company where I've came in and I've taken over, and it's my place right now. I'm 1/3 of the tag team championships. Freebird rules.
The Freebird rules, yeah.
Yes, sir. Freebird rules with myself, James Fury, and Roddy Sorvino. I call him Suvi. That's his real name. But it's been awesome. Again, it's another company as long as they give me what I want. But things are going really well. Another company where just like ACCW, I'm just telling you what's happening. When I go, there seems to be more booties and seats. That's just the way that it seems to work. But
Keeping it
WCPW.
Real.
Yes, sir. WCPW is an awesome place to work. I love it there. I love it.
I've got some fans and friends from Chicago area. Wow, I get to talking sometimes, and my head starts going faster than my mouth, and then
trust me, I get it.
With it was Warrior Wrestling, but I believe now they're going by Pro Wrestling Ventures.
Okay.
Dude, though that crew there, love them. Like
Okay.
they invited me. That's where a fan fest for their show in St. Louis was actually where I had the mini episode with Bronson Reed.
Okay. Okay.
And so they were totally welcoming to me there, even though
Awesome.
this was like early on in the game for the podcast. And
Okay.
I'll admit I was feeling a little overwhelmed and out of place, but
Sure.
everybody made me feel welcome. And
That's
when
awesome.
the situation with my girls happened,
Yeah.
man, I didn't even really inform any of them. I like posted about it on Twitter, and then all of a sudden, boom, they all reached out. And I'm like, I
Wow.
already had love for you guys, but even more so now, man.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's the way it should be. That's
Oh,
the way
most
it should be. No matter how we are between the ropes or inside the fence, when it comes to humanity, that's the way it should be.
most
So
definitely.
that's awesome.
Now, I also saw some experience with, we talked a little bit about AEW. There were some AEW dark performances. Now, that them even having that when they did, and I know they don't have it anymore,
Right.
but it was like definitely one of those that made you feel like a national TV promotion being a little bit more indie friendly, because they'd always bring like the local from the
Yep.
local area people in to have a match on that platform, and
Right.
which for the time they had it was something awesome, because
Yeah.
you go to WWE, and no offense to WWE, that they're, in my opinion, improving vastly from where they had been.
Absolutely.
But as far as independent talents go, the most independent talents, I can actually talk, but
You got it. You got it.
independent talents like actually getting to be used like in actual matches,
Yeah.
on the AEW product versus maybe at the most getting to be extras as like a security guard or something on the
I was a
WWE.
doctor.
Which, I mean, it's still a good opportunity. You're still getting to, those that know you will be like, oh, dude, he was.
Right.
But what was your experience like with, AEW Dark and getting to be there? Because, I've been lucky enough to be able to talk with, a few people that have had those chances. What was it like for you?
Well, it was just like what you said, man. Those opportunities that are provided in those situations where, second to none, because it is a different platform, and while it might not be on television, you get the feel for sure. You get the feel for sure, and you kind of get to even, test your needle a little bit, see what you can do with a crowd like that, which is really cool. The biggest match I had, I did one main event with Dark, with Jay Lethal.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, man, I'll never forget it. The only regret that I have is that I was starstruck. That's the only, and Mark Henry mentioned it right away. When Jay Lethal comes out, he mentions it right away, and I'm like, golly, I just wish that wouldn't happen. I can still respect him, but I wish I wasn't starstruck.
Yeah.
Maybe the match would have went differently. Maybe I would have beat him if I wasn't starstruck.
Yeah, those little distractions that come up, they happen. But yeah, I've been lucky enough when some of the people I've met, I haven't ever gotten too starstruck. But I can imagine a main event of AEW Dark, and you're all of a sudden your opponent comes out, and like it would be like, especially for a guy like Jay Lethal, that it would be hard not to be a little starstruck in that moment.
It was.
I know if I ever got the chance to meet my personal all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to get a damn word out. Like, it would take a little bit for me to get over the fact of, like, if we were doing it like we're doing this now, I'd be like, holy crap, he's actually there.
Yeah. I know what you mean, man. Like, just like being in those locker rooms, and hopefully it becomes a full-time thing someday. But just like getting those opportunities, whether it was there or whether it was at WWE, being back there with those other guys that do, they do the same job that I do, just at a different place right now. It still feels like that. I respect them that much. Especially the guys that I've watched. Like you growing up. It's just like wow. I was there when at Revolution when Sting retired. You know, just I couldn't get used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I could get used to. Incredible.
No,
Incredible.
I can, if that statement right there leads me to, I believe it was one of the Road Warriors that had, if you're not getting the butterflies and having that at least little bit of a hint of being starstruck,
yeah,
that might be your signal to, kind of start stepping away.
Move along.
Because, having those feelings, that excitement, that's what really keeps you going and motivating. Yes. Like, holy crap, I'm getting to do this. Let's go.
Yes. And that's exactly it. It's after those moments, I'm always like, man, I can do this. I can do this. Cause this business is tough. It's a long, hard road that has no sureties. But it's moments like that. It's like, man, I can do this. I'm back here already. I can do this.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that statement.
Oh yeah, with the podcast, I've even been able to relate. I can be my own worst critic, but when I'm getting positive feedback from a lot of the people, and then even like some people have told me, man, it was just like sitting back at the bar having beers with a buddy. I'm like,
yeah,
I didn't even tell you that. I remember telling people this. I'm like, I didn't even tell you that was my aim for it, but to know that it came across like that without me even having to say it, we go.
That's it.
Definitely get that same.
You're doing what you set out to do.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
And hell, getting some of the big names I've had on, like Bronson Reed, I got him back there, but me being the fan of deathmatch wrestling, getting to have some big names from there on, like John Wayne Murdoch or Alex Colon, and just like, holy crap, I'm actually. And then them saying, they had a good time. I'm like, oh, I can breathe.
Yeah. I know. I know that feeling. Feeling. Right. It's cool. It's cool that we can have, similar looks in our crossover avenue,
Most definitely. All right. Now I got two categories. One's a little bit of a name game where I name off some people and I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible. So I give you the name, quick thoughts on the person.
Okay.
First one, we kind of just talked about him a little bit. The Lethal One, Jay Lethal.
The first thing that comes to my mind when it comes to him is I don't want to say underrated. I want to say under acknowledged. I think everybody knows, but under acknowledged.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. He's definitely had the accolades, but when people talk about, those people that have won championships in multiple places and just about everywhere they go.
Yes.
Sometimes Jay Lethal kind of, no fault of his own, sometimes he doesn't get that acknowledgement in that group, which is a shame. It's a shame.
It sickens me. Love Jay Lethal. Obviously, met him several times. We had to fight, but, met him several times. Awesome guy. But, just from what you were just saying over think about the course of his career. It's been a long time. Very under acknowledged. I'm still upset with the fact that he lost at the Madison Square Garden. Like, I'm still not okay with that. I'm still not okay with that. I don't think I ever will be.
That was a bit of a head scratcher for me too. No offense to Matt Taven. I've met the guy. He's a good dude. But yeah, no, Jay Lethal. Right. But then you think, TNA, in Ring of Honor, and all the titles he has there. He literally held every damn title there was in the company. So it's like other than not really having won a title in AEW just yet,
Right.
literally everywhere he's been, he's held gold.
Yeah. Yeah. But even in AEW, at any given time, he can step in the ring and wow anyone
Oh yeah, most
with
definitely.
anyone. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to my mind with Jay Lethal was under acknowledged. Love the guy. Love him.
Oh, I can completely agree with you there. Now another guy that, man, the one thing that I can think about with this guy is literally in his name.
Okay.
Powerhouse Hobbs.
Powerhouse Hobbs. Best is yet to come. Best is
Most
yet to
definitely.
come. Absolute monster. Story's awesome. I know they've touched on that several times in AEW, but best is yet to come.
Most
Best
definitely.
is yet to come, and I think the timing will be right when that time comes.
Oh yeah, when he comes back from this latest injury and he's completely healthy, like I said, it is literally in his name. He's one
Yes.
hell of a damn powerhouse.
Yeah, man. I've also gotten beat up by him before too. Didn't last very long. So
Oh
definitely a
yeah,
powerhouse. Definitely a powerhouse.
I know of a friend of mine that has since passed that actually got an opportunity. I don't know if it was on it, I think it was on Dark. There
Okay.
might have been like a short match on one of the AEW programs, but it was up against him. And yeah, no, it was one of those that, yeah, he definitely proved that powerhouse name.
Yes. 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 I can
Now,
attest that it's true. It's true. I may be
next,
mean, but I will not lie.
you know, no, the next one, 2-1 here, and I actually got the pleasure of seeing them live. Actually, my first time getting to see them live in a match at Collision.
Okay.
FTR.
I knew you were going to say it. There's a lot I could say about these guys. I've taken seminars from them. I've spent time talking to them, and as a matter of fact, I have a family. I have a wife and children. And this business is not easy with the wife and children, especially when you get it in after they're a certain age. So
Yeah.
it's not the only thing that they've always known.
Yeah.
And so now you're asking them to sacrifice, and they're understanding the sacrifice that they're made.
Yeah.
It's not like they're babies, and then you get somewhere and you're like, this is why. They're still waiting on the why. But he told me, he said, Dax specifically, he told me don't sacrifice your family for it. If you're supposed to make it, you will. And that gave me a peace in this business that I never had before that I needed.
No, I
And
can
so
imagine.
that's just them as people, but as wrestlers, as a tag team, it doesn't get a whole lot better.
Oh yeah, it was a thrill getting to be as close as I was at Collision, getting to see them, because I think the only other time I've been to an AEW show, it was during the time period where people were thinking, oh, are they leaving? Oh, they're trying to win titles back from, I still call them the ass boys, but
Right.
there was that thing. They didn't have a match that night, but this time they got to have a match against Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. And man, that was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think for me, and some people that I've watched some shows with have noticed this, but me being a fan of Tomohiro Ishii that I am, I think it was Dax. His gear, at least that night, looked so eerily reminiscent to Tomohiro Ishii that I'm like, oh my God, I'm loving this. I already am a fan of those guys, but seeing that too, man, that was
probably
something.
was not an accident.
No, I would
Probably was not an
imagine
accident.
not.
Yes, sir. And here's the also hoping and praying that he heals up quickly and of course efficiently and well.
Most definitely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Last but not least for this name game category, recently reunited with his brother back in TNA.
Come on.
At Hardy.
Matt Hardy. the first word that comes to my mind, I reckon, is brilliant. In this business, it helps when you're able to find a way. And wherever he's gone, whatever he's done, he's always been able to consistently find a way. And
Oh, yeah.
I've been watching those guys since before they got signed at WWF. Back in here in Troutman, North Carolina, they did a fair show. And that was literally probably weeks before they got signed. But yeah, he finds a way. He finds a
Oh
way.
yeah, most definitely. Hell, even with the whole broken Matt Hardy thing and
Yeah,
being able to reinvent himself there, and
yeah,
I some of the stuff that he's come up with in those, you know, ultimate deletion style things, like hell, everybody remembered when this last as of recording the last TNA Impact show where the System came
mhm,
to the Hardy compound, and I remember one of the commentators saying, "Oh, maybe we'll see the boat." And I'm like, "Oh man, if we don't see the dilapidated boat, I'm gonna be pissed." But then Matt Hardy comes up with the thing right as soon as he confronts them.
yeah.
The trap of Booby, and I'm like, "Oh God, okay." The, just hearing that will make up for the potentially not seeing the dilapidated boat.
Right. That's it, though. He's a man that has created moments throughout his career that you will never forget.
Oh yeah.
That and
Oh,
those are the things that don't die.
mm-hmm.
Those are, and so and that's what I mean. He always finds a way. Whether that's the realism of yo, you took my girl from me. We're gonna fight about it. We still remember that, like
Yeah, that's
whether
still
it's the
talk to
crowd
this day.
yelling to leave, you're gonna remember those things.
Oh,
You're gonna remember those things.
most definitely. All right, now I got some random questions. Some might
Okay,
be wrestling related, some might not be.
give
Some
it, give it,
might
give it
have
a shot.
absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
That's fine. Let's get it.
Give you the question. First answer that pops into your head. First one, craziest in match moment for you.
Hmm. Hmm. Craziest in match moment. Okay. Oh man. Okay. I this is actually pretty recent. I was wrestling at ACCW. I'm gonna go with this one. At ACCW, I was wrestling an awesome talent fella named Cam Jackson, number one Cam Jackson. Um, and we were going at it, and I'm there to win. I'm not there to really hurt anybody unless I absolutely have to.
Eight.
But I underestimated my own strength at one point, and I caught him. He was going for an up and over, which is where they're at the ropes and they're trying to evade you by going over the top. I caught him, and I go to throw him up, so I can kick him. But when I did that, I threw him a little hard, and he went to flipping all the. And the crazy moment about it is, I guess I let people know that I do have some kind of humanity because I yell out of concern. I'm like, I'm gonna kill the man that I'm just really trying to pin. That was the craziest moment that I've had in the ring because it's yeah, that yeah. People still laugh about that one.
Oh man, yeah, I can understand why. And yeah, that would be right up there with a crazy moment. I love asking that question because I love the stories behind
Yeah,
it that I get out of asking that one.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the
I
one that
yelled
I
and I was
always
like, oh no, people know that I care.
yeah, though sometimes you oh god, people get they know accidents happen, so it's like yeah, it's like oh you don't want to break character, but then you also want to make sure you're not sending the guy to the hospital.
Right, right. Right. I need him to make money. That's the real reason why I didn't want to hurt him because I need to wrestle him again so we can continue, you know,
Mm,
making that
keep
money.
that,
That's it right
keep
there.
that story going. I get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I've heard plenty of great stuff behind some of these moments. Like, there's been a lot of talk about different ECW stuff lately, and I've actually been lucky enough to have some original ECW guys on,
Yes, sir.
including a member of the Anoa'i family, Lloyd Anoa'i, and told me about a match with New Jack, where you can
Oh,
just imagine a match with New Jack, some crazy shit's gonna happen. But he
Sure.
told me about a match where they were told specifically to, not be destroying too much because, you got to, the venue and all that. Well, him and New Jack proceed to both end up going through a wall, and Paul Heyman is yelling at them after the match.
I would
So
not yell at New Jack. I would not.
no,
I've met and spoke with New Jack several times. God rest his soul. Several times before he passed away. He lived right there in Greensboro, North Carolina, so I
I
got to
was
see
going to
him quite
say,
often. And that's one of those. He's one. We were talking about those guys that you see, and you're like, man, they're intimidating. That never goes away. Okay, and maybe that's because his career precedes him.
yeah,
So that that never goes away. But I did find him kind. I did. It's still you take your time, but you do find him kind, and so he's missed. He's
yeah.
missed. I had to shoot a promo in front of him one time. Uh, talking about nerve wracking. Talking about
Oh, God,
butterflies.
yeah. Oh,
Talking about
boy.
butterflies. But I can say that I did get his approval after that
Hey,
promo. So that was a dope moment in my career. That was
oh,
pretty dope.
that would be right fucking up there. Yeah. All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, I've, displayed. So this is why I like having this here.
Heck yeah.
Displaying some of my, hobbies. I got, my wrestling figure collection, which this whole top row, all signed by people that I met,
That's so awesome.
including, I'm having to go down to the other shelf. But, I got, Funko Pops. You can't see it up top, but I got myself rebuilding my Ninja Turtle collection because, growing up, it was always pro wrestling and Ninja Turtles.
That's it.
And
I agree.
actually getting to meet the voice behind Michelangelo from the original cartoon.
That's
And
awesome.
the guy behind Splinter from those first two movies,
Okay.
including my personal favorite, Secret of the Ooze.
That's it. That's the only one that can be considered a favorite.
Oh yeah, the really one time you can have a sequel that, in my opinion, is better than the original.
So much better.
But
Perfectly done.
leads me to my question.
Okay.
Now I know wrestling can take up a lot of time, but what are some hobbies you have, if any, for whatever time you have not doing wrestling?
Okay. Man, I can give you a few. Obviously, like I said, I guess you wouldn't consider church, a hobby, but I spend a lot of time doing things church wise. But family, obviously, those two things are top. But then
Yeah.
I'm a sport fanatic. I love playing football, basketball when I can get on the court. Every now and then. I I am a huge television and movie buff, so I can do that all day long as well. I'm an inside or outside guy, so you
Okay.
name it, and we can do it. And I've
Okay.
recently gotten to reading. Even my daughter finally got me reading, so I can do that as well, man. I'm not hard to get along with.
No,
Not hard
I
to get along
I
with.
get you there. Yeah, my only thing with reading though is the book has definitely got to capture my attention,
Has to.
because too many times I try reading a book that somebody's like, "Oh man, I love this," and it doesn't capture my attention. I just start nodding off, and before I know it, I've lost my place of where haven't I read yet, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I hear you.
that one book out of mine that definitely had my attention was the book Lone Survivor, based off of the whole SEAL team thing that
Okay.
they got ambushed, and then
Yes.
the only ones left, where the famed Michael Murphy ended up getting awarded the Medal of Honor.
Sure.
That whole story, the movie, great, love it.
Okay.
But the book, like, man, you hear about the books going into so much more detail that isn't in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
That one, oh, love it.
Okay.
Both the
Okay.
book and the movie, amazing.
I'll have to check them both out. I haven't seen the movie either, but I'll have to check them both out.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
they're both great. I know. Hell, speaking of Secret of the Ooze, in my Ninja Turtle collection up there, I actually got a 30th anniversary Super Shredder. Still in the damn box.
Dude, See, I wasn't that kind of kid. If I got it, I was playing with it. So.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely have those from back then. But hell, they have those Universal Monster mashups.
Uh,
Yeah, I display them out of the box because I'm like, man, those look too cool not to have
yeah,
out
yeah.
displaying. But yeah, I have some very few out of the box, like my wrestling figures. The only ones I keep out of the box are like my ones for people that have passed on because I'm like,
Okay,
well, I ain't gonna be able to get them autographed. But like if
right.
they're still alive, I keep them in because like if I get the chance to, then I can add them to my autograph stuff.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yes,
So,
sir.
but yeah,
Yes, sir.
movies. Okay, now this one I didn't have this question I didn't have in my notes, but you know what? Since we talked about being a little bit of a TV and movie buff,
Okay.
favorite movie and favorite TV program.
Okay. So this is what I'm gonna do. This could change tomorrow.
Mm,
So I'll pick one for each today, and we'll just go with it. TV. The first one that came to my mind was Boy Meets World. Okay.
okay. Yep.
That's the first one that popped up. Yes, that's the first one that popped up. So we'll go with Boy Meets World for today. Absolutely loved it. Grew up on it. Yeah, we'll go with that. Movie. Oh my goodness, this one's even harder. Oh
I
my
can bet.
goodness, that's too hard.
It can be hard.
Yeah, it's man. Oh goodness. Let me think. Oh man. You know what? I love movies that are based on true stories.
All that
Uh,
that is true. I do
yes,
enjoy those.
sir. Yes, sir. So in the spirit of that today, I'm gonna go. You might not have ever seen this one, but I'm gonna go with The Temptation. I'm a huge music buff as well, and
Mm,
so I know that's probably irregular, but I'm gonna go with The Temptations today.
okay. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I know I definitely on my list of favorite movies, I definitely have some that are, based on true stories in there.
Okay.
I mean, and definitely some that aren't. Like we talked
Sure.
about Secret of the Ooze, that's
Right.
definitely up there. I I love joking about this, but I've been to a handful of the Bubba Gump restaurants,
Okay.
and Forrest Gump, hands down, one of my favorite movies. But the servers at the restaurants will usually ask you trivia questions at different times about the movie. I've seen it so
Uh-huh.
many times I can answer their questions before they're done asking them.
That's now, yeah. Now that's a love for music. That movie, that's got to be your favorite, man.
Oh yeah, no, that is
Yes.
definitely one of my favorite. Between
Yeah.
that and it was either We Were Soldiers or the Thin Red Line, the Mel Gibson Vietnam movie, where there's a point in the movie where I think it was Sam Elliott's character was walking by this lower ranking guy, and he
Uh-huh.
goes, Good morning, sir." He's like, "How do you know what kind of goddamn day?" When I was in the Navy at boot camp, one of my they call them oh, damn, now I'm spacing off, but basically the Navy's drill instructors. But
Uh-huh.
one of mine, literally some guy from another division walking by, greeted him, "Good morning, petty officer," and he's like, "Is it?" So that, like, it took
Right
everything in
back.
me not
Yeah.
to laugh because it so much reminded me of that moment from that movie.
Sure. Sure.
Hands down.
Yes.
Yep, I could go in on and
I
on
hear
about
you.
favorite
I hear you on that.
movies.
Yes, me too. Me too. Movies are sitting here just coursing through my mind now. I'm like, man,
Oh
it's
yeah,
hard to really choose
it's
one.
already got my mind spinning on that. Well, you know what? To prevent myself going on a tangent here, we're gonna go to the next one. Now, wrestling, whether national TV or independence, there's a whole lot of traveling. And
Mhm.
one thing that a lot of people like on road trips is playlists. What are some songs that would be on a road trip playlist for you?
It's another good one. Like I just told you, I love my music. So I'm just gonna tell you, it can go from R&B to gospel to a little bit of hip hop. I don't listen to hip hop as much as I used to. especially not today's hip hop. I'm an old
Yeah,
soul, so I can't really get into it.
same.
Um, I can listen to a little bit of country. You know, I would say the only music that I don't really listen to is like the heavy metal screamo
Mm,
type deal.
yeah.
But you know, I can get into just about anything else. And
Well,
so, but my go-to is definitely R&B though. That's my
okay.
go-to.
I
Yes,
can
sir.
I can respect that. I different R&B acts. I've enjoyed hip hop like you, more of an old soul on that. Some of
Sure.
the, good lord, Eminem, Dre,
Okay. Yep.
DMX even,
Oh
but
yeah.
or one of the, like, I guess I came up on him somewhat newer, but Tech Nine,
Hmm.
like just the intensity of his delivery with
Incredible.
the lyrics in his songs, I can respect that. But I've
Yes, sir.
also been more of a country guy,
Okay.
been able to, meet a bunch of my favorites.
Okay.
My wife is uber fan of this guy, but I still am a fan of his. Luke
Hmm.
Combs. We've
Okay.
been to like 10 different concerts of his, been in the pit like two or three
Wow.
different times. And when he was actually at the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium this last time, my wife found out that like a week or so before that, oh, she won a thing where we actually get to meet him and have a beer with him before the show.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we got that. We got to talk to him about, having been that was our 10th concert of his.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, my figures, I am a bit of an autograph collector. I even have a damn, not from Luke Combs, but I actually have a signed autographed guitar on my wall behind us here from one of my other favorites, Dirks Bentley, where he did a
Okay.
show
Yeah.
here, in the same town that Collision was in. And
Okay.
I was like, you know what? It's a general admission place. I want to see how close I can get. I got
Hmm.
like two people from the stage. And at one point, he was asking where his beer drinkers were at. And I'm just like, woo! And then he's like pointing down at me. And
Talking to me.
I'm like, wait, he ain't pointing at me. Who's he pointing at? He's pointing at somebody. But then he's helping the security guy get me over the barricade.
Wow.
And before I know it, I'm on stage shotgunning a beer with Dirks Bentley.
Church family. Wow.
And I actually still
Still,
got the can.
yeah, that's yeah. Yeah.
I kept that damn thing. But
Yeah, that's acceptable.
towards the end, he was, motioning for someone to write with after he literally from one of his band took his guitar. And I'm
Mm,
like, I like in the back
dude,
of my head, I saw it coming, but I'm like, no. He
dude,
walks over and hands it to me. And I'm like,
that's incredible. That's
the
incredible.
security had to, at the end of the show, help get me back over the barricade and walk back and around to get to my car because they're like, you're not
Yeah,
walking back through those
yeah.
people.
I bet. I bet. I can imagine. That man, that's so awesome, man. That's so
Oh
like
yeah.
those experiences, like we said, things you'll never forget, man. That's what it's all about. That's so
And
cool.
before we go on to the next one, the part there's two parts that make it even better.
Hmm.
First one, and I always feel weird, all like talking too much about myself,
No,
but
you're good, man.
the day after, I went to call my family because as the security guys are leading me up to the stage, I'm like, oh man, I hope somebody gets a picture of this because there ain't
Yeah.
no way anybody gonna believe me. And then I called my family because I'm like thinking like, oh my god, I got to tell them about this.
Hmm.
He lit, my brother and his now wife were actually at not at the concert, but they were at my parents' house.
Okay.
And apparently, literally minutes before I called, somebody was talking to my now sister-in-law about, oh my god, they did this. They were at the concert and they're like, oh my god, it was so cool. They got this guy up on stage. They shucked in the beer with
Wow.
him, and then she's sitting right next to my brother, and they sent a picture to her. It's like, is that your brother? And like, I'm like thinking, like, oh my god, I got to tell my family about this, and I'm like, they already heard
There,
about it before I even called them.
I already know. Oh, that's how you know it was a big moment. That's how
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
And
Oh
then
my
I
goodness.
went, before I got it hung on the wall, I wanted to go get a case to put it in, for like,
Sure.
moving and stuff. I gotta
Yep.
have something to keep it protected. Well, I went to Guitar Center and was like, okay, let's see how much this is gonna be. Well, they're like, hey, how about wait right here? We'll go to the back, see what we got, used ones that might save you a little money.
Uh-huh.
Well, the one they found, they for some reason didn't have in their inventory system. They couldn't find it, so they just gave it to me.
Oh wow. Wow. See, that goes back to the top of this conversation when we talk about those things that happen and you just like somebody.
Yeah, nope, most definitely, because it was just like, holy crap, that
That's awesome,
actually
man.
happened.
That's awesome. That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
That's so cool. Heck yeah.
definitely a cherished memory for
Yeah, man.
sure.
Yeah, man.
Well, and I got one more that I'll talk about after we get done here,
Okay.
because I'm pretty damn excited about this, but I'm trying not to blow it too much, but
All right.
we'll get
All
to it.
right.
But next one, with the name of a show like I have, I would feel weird if I didn't have this question in here.
Okay.
Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, or one of each, because, for one reason or another, I know there's plenty of people out there that don't drink.
Right.
So I always try to tell people, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean that it has to be alcoholic.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't drink alcohol. So I will say right now, my favorite drink is probably any sparkling water. Like
Okay.
the actual what do they call it? Your club sodas, your
Yeah.
yeah, I love those. I try to keep it somewhat healthy, and those are pretty not too bad. I don't know what carbonation does to you, but other than that,
No, I
other
get
than
you.
that, yeah,
I'm a
man, I stick
well,
to
yeah.
those. So
No, I can get you there. I'm a bit of a Dr. Pepper fiend myself.
okay,
My
and
wife always tries to tell me I got a problem. I'm like, well, if I got some, I ain't got a problem. And then the last time I went out and bought some, I had one of those 24 packs, those big cube things, waiting in line. I'm like, well, my wife tells me I got a problem. I can
yeah,
tell her, hey, I'm getting the dang workout carrying this dang thing.
yeah, man, yeah, man. I mean, see, I'm a thirsty guy, so I had to learn to drink something that wouldn't do me bad because I if I was if I was drinking sodas or even juice, apple juice would have been my answer years before now. I love my apple juice, but all that sugar and we got goals as wrestlers, and so we gotta, yeah, man. I can do it all day long. So yeah,
I
I had to
get you.
find something. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, gotta keep yourself in ring shape.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Now, last but not least, here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Know why? I think that's my greatest advice. Know why. Um, because if you lose sight of the why, you'll lose sight of everything.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess inside of that, being okay if the why changes.
Mm. True. True.
Um, because as we talked about earlier, there's no sureties in this
Mm.
in this business. And so sometimes your why will change, and that's okay.
Yeah. No,
Because
totally.
yeah, you may not get that certain piece of paper from whatever company
Mm.
that you wanted. So then what you have to do now is figure out your new why.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally get you there. I know, hell, even with the podcast, the why has changed because I had the situation with my wife and I losing our girls, and
Sure.
there was a time immediately after that where I'm like, I don't know, I don't know if I'm in it anymore. But then I'm like, getting to think my little girls wouldn't want daddy to be a quitter, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go until I got nothing
There
left
you
to
go.
put out there.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
the same thing with the Navy, or a lot of places in life. But I had experience telling people with the Navy about it is, why are you
Mhm.
doing it? And keeping that in mind when you go through those tough situations, because hell, with the Navy especially, I tell people you are gonna have your moments where you're wondering, what the fuck am I
I bet.
doing?
I can only imagine.
But if you can remember your why
Mm-hmm.
in those moments, you're gonna be fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you hear about guys that are contemplating getting out and whatever. Um, Sometimes that may be the answer. You just need to know if your why is changed to the point where it's like, okay, it's time to give it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the why is very important. There are so many things that I could say, but
Yeah.
maybe that's just where I am right now,
No.
is constantly, consistently thinking about my why.
Mm-hmm. No. That
So
definitely can help for those moments where you're like thinking, man, I should be on this stage,
yes.
being on TV, but I'm not there yet. So why
Hmm.
am I still doing this? But then you remember that why, and
Yeah.
then that helps you, push on.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right.
sir. Yes, sir.
So before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Well, if you don't, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I know
Um,
I do. That's how I got a hold of you.
and I should be ashamed of myself because I have to go and look to make sure I tell you the right names.
It
But
happens.
my Facebook is just Alexander Moss. You look up Alexander Moss, you should be able to find me. My Instagram which is probably what I'm terrible with my social media, but it's probably what I'm most active on. Uh, my Instagram is, give me just a second, I'm looking it up, is the Alexander_Moss.
All right.
And one that I'm trying to get better at, even though it seems like people are more so getting off of it now. I don't know. Is my Twitter. It is Alexander_Moss. So if you type in Alexander Moss, hopefully you'll be able to find it in
Oh
any
yeah.
of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That
sir. So
is about all I have. We'll get all of the social media stuff in the description. But
appreciate you, man.
thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight.
Thank you.
I know, like me and it, doing these, it can take away time, family and stuff. So I appreciate your time, and best of luck out there with Apple City Championship Wrestling and everywhere in between.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Big Mo, and thank you for your time as well, and thank you for working with me. Thank you for keep coming back even when I kept having to switch on it. It's
It is.
appreciated, and I enjoyed myself, man. Great
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.